Hey there, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Sunday night weather hangout. I am meteorologist Ryan Weekman here in the WTOL studios, more specifically in the weather center side of the studios for us here. And I thank you guys very much for watching me. There's a lot of other great things going on right now, I'm sure, on a Sunday evening. Some great weather out there. But we're going to talk a little bit about the forecast. We're going to get to some questions out there week by week. You guys are tuning in and you're asking some great questions, and I'm excited. We've got a good group right here that we're going to get to coming up in just a little bit. For those of you that are watching live on the Storm Track weather blog, look above. You'll find some good information about how you can find me on Facebook and Twitter, as well as Google+, where this hangout is being hosted, and gives you an opportunity, of course, to ask your own questions, either in real time or beforehand, as a number of people here, Nevin, Jake, Leslie, and Kyle, are some of the questions that will be answered. If you are joining me on Google Plus this evening, there's a section down there where you can ask questions. Those get posted live on my computer right here, in fact, in my computer screen, and I can answer those questions pretty much right away. So we're going to talk about the forecast. First of all, that's the format. What's going to happen the next few days. I'm going to give you a little insight behind just what you see on TV, more than the 2 to 3 minutes that you might be used to if you're used to tuning in over on Fox Toledo or WTOL-11. And then I'm going to get to a lot of these questions here for us here, dealing with severe weather, which is obviously the very typical question this time of the year. And also, we have a birthday request here and just some more fun and comical things to talk about. So first things first, let's flip the screen over. We're going to look at what's going on as far as the weather is concerned across the nation for this evening. And, well, here across the Great Lakes, it's relatively quiet. We're going to start off with the water vapor loop for us here. And you'll notice it's a bit chaotic. If you've never seen one of these images before, all you need to know is the blue, gray, that's areas of higher moisture, and red down here in Florida where you'd expect to see moisture and thunderstorms developing. That's what you're seeing. These areas of orange or red are drier pockets of air, and that's why you'll notice as we've gone through the day, the higher areas of moisture have moved off to the east. We had a dry afternoon. You notice that pocket of dry air that pushed in. That's why we expected things to dry out rather quickly for us this afternoon, as we saw. And over the southern half of the country, that's where the more active weather pattern has been for the better part of the last week. Here's another neat way we can look at things as far as what the moisture content looks like in the atmosphere. This is called precipitable water. And all this is a measurement through the column of the atmosphere, from the ground all the way up through the upper levels of the atmosphere, how much moisture that there is. And basically, anywhere where there's blue, there's moderate amounts of moisture, and where there's green or yellow, there's a lot of moisture. And just like we were looking at in the water vapor imagery today, off to the east, that's where that better plume of moisture has been shunted. And back off to the south and west, we'll be watching as this tries to grow back into the area as we get later on in the 7-day forecast. We'll look at the 7-day here coming up just a few minutes. I want to show you guys this. This is a weather model output of what is most likely to happen over the next few days for us here. And this is just basically the model trying to output what radar would look like at any given time. And I want to go through the next few days for you here. And just to give you a point of reference, here's northwest Ohio, southeastern Michigan, so this is the Great Lakes up here. You'll notice over the southern U.S. a very active pattern. That's really good. They need a lot of rain down there. It's not till we get to at least midday Tuesday that we see this upper level low pretty much right over the boot heel of Missouri start lifting to the northeast up the Ohio River and heading our way and spreading chances for rain by the time we especially get Wednesday and into Thursday. So chances for rain over the 7-day forecast are pretty much centered midweek. Otherwise, chances for rain are going to be pretty low, especially to start off the week and towards the end of the week. One thing to keep in mind, we're just not in a very active pattern up here across the Great Lakes. There are signs that may be trying to change in 10 to 14 days. We're going to start getting some more of that heat starting to build in. We're still waiting for our first 90-degree day of the year. We're going to go, it looks like, through at least mid-June before we get there. So we just don't have the instability, the oomph in the atmosphere to create any widespread severe weather. It looks like at least over the next 7 days. Get beyond that, we start to see some indications, but of course anytime you go out beyond 7 days, things get a little bit more interesting for us here. So as As far as that 7-day forecast goes, here's what we're looking at. If you haven't got a chance to see this, if you don't have the Storm Track weather app, which you guys should all have, it's great. Has a lot of information in it. Whenever we're tracking storms, you can track it right along with you. But here's the 7-day. This is over at ToledoNewsNow.com. You notice tomorrow looks dry, high near 80 degrees. Looks like a great day for tomorrow. Tuesday, the chance for rain is pretty much late in the day. Wednesday is not going to be a complete washout, but there will be some scattered showers pretty much throughout the whole day for us there. And then Thursday, looking pretty similar there, slightly lower chances for rain, but we may have to up that to around 60% potentially if indications stay the way that they are, even a little bit stronger. We may be seeing some more widespread rain on Thursday with a cold front coming on through. But look at this, Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday look pretty dry for us, and you'll notice no big shift as far as an air mass is concerned. Things are going to pretty much stay status quo for us over the next week. We're going to stay within a few degrees of 80. There's no real warm-ups. There's no significant cool-downs on that 7-day forecast. So kind of smooth as she goes as far as the forecast goes for the week ahead. All right? This one's pretty easy for us as far as the forecast goes, or at least as far as having to explain a lot of things. So that's why I got a lot of these. I got a lot of questions today. You probably couldn't see it, could you? Can the camera adjust? There you go. See, I got some written down. Here we go. Nevin asked the first question here that I've written down. Severe weather outlook for the season. What does it look like for us here? Nevin, of course, this is spring heading into summer. Severe weather season, this is the heart of it, especially heading into mid-June and July. We get a lot of straight-line wind events around here. So that's something that we'd obviously be on the outlook for. But the way that the pattern's been set up, it's pretty much been the Ohio River and south that has seen that pattern. So that's why we're saying there's some indications as we go 10 to 14 days out that pattern may be shifting a little bit north as the jet stream retreats more towards the poles and up towards the Arctic. That could maybe shift that severe weather threat a little bit further to the north. But overall, severe weather outlook is relatively low for the next few weeks simply because this is the heart of the season, and we haven't seen a whole lot of it. So, in fact, I can show you this. This is the SPC. These are the really smart dudes out at Norman, Oklahoma, and they show the indications for the next 4 to 8 days, or days 4 through 8 across the U.S. relatively low for threats for severe weather. And even if you go before that, most of the threats are down south of the Ohio River in the slight risk of the yellow zone right there for you. So really not even flirting with the area over the next week to 8 days for us. Things do look pretty quiet for us. So Nevin, yeah, we're still going to deal with severe weather, and while we're in the heart of the severe weather season, you guys know severe weather can happen any time of the year around here. All right, Jake had an interesting question for us here, and this is one that I do get fairly often. Jake was asking, what's the difference between a wall cloud and a front? Like, how do you see a front coming on through? This is something that trips up a lot of people a lot of times. When we talk about there's a cold front, it's going to push through the area. There's going to be a warm front. That's what's going to cause the rain, or that's going to be when one of those fronts come through. Usually you can't actually see that front. You don't look up in the sky and see like a blue squiggly line like we indicate on our weather map sometimes for a cold front coming on through. There's also no specific cloud formation with any of those fronts coming through. All that a front is it's the leading edge of a different air mass that's coming in. So if you think about it right now, this morning things were a little bit muggy. It wasn't necessarily the warmest, but it was muggy. I'd call that a tropical air mass just because of how much moisture was in the atmosphere. This afternoon, you notice the humidity go down. Well, that's because we had a bit of a weak cold front come through the area. There weren't any necessarily specific clouds associated with that, but as it came on through, it caused some lift in the atmosphere, and that was those low-hanging gray clouds, and that was the rainfall that we saw. Well, we saw the change from the air mass, and obviously this evening it's much less humid out there. So when you talk about a front coming on through, there's no specific cloud you can see. So if you see somebody point up at the sky and say, look, there comes the front, it's coming on through, you can't see it. All it is it's a change of air that comes on through. And we all know you can't see air. All right. Jake, you were asking, and this is the part of this that I want to really start to explain as well, is you asked what's the difference between a front and a wall cloud. And for those of you that have never taken a spotter training course by the National Weather Service, you just don't know much about severe weather. There's two types of clouds that often get named a lot during severe weather. There's a wall cloud and there's a shelf cloud. And I think what Jake was trying to refer to was a shelf cloud here. And I have a picture for you here, more visual. We can show you this. That's the whole point of these Hangouts, is instead of just talking, I can show you these things. This is a wall cloud. This was a picture just taken off a different weather blog from a different TV station over in Illinois. I didn't have to do anything fancy here. This is the wall cloud, this bottom shape right here. It almost looks like the bottom of a bell, if you will. This is the updraft of a storm. You see all this gray and this blue behind here, this blue and green back here? This is rain that's falling down in the backside of the storm. We're looking directly into the updraft of the storm. So if you thought about that bell, think of that picture. You thought of that bell, it's right here. Okay? The air is literally coming into the storm, and it's going up into it. That's the updraft of the storm, and it's all rotating as well. So when we talk about a rotating portion of a thunderstorm, that's where you really want to look. And a wall cloud is a good indication that there is some rotation within the thunderstorm, and you want to watch that wall cloud, because if that cloud itself is actually rotating, that can be a sign that a tornado or a funnel cloud may appear shortly. So that's why you really have to watch. And I tell people this all the time when dealing with rotation. I say, if it's rotating, you know it's rotating. I have a lot of phone calls here, especially on severe weather days, where I get a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter that say, I think I see something rotating, maybe. And I like to tell people, even if you've never seen anything tornadic, if you're not a storm chaser or you're not a storm spotter, you've never taken a weather course, if something is rotating that's going to produce a tornado, you know it, all right? It's just rotating very fastly, like nothing you've probably ever seen before, again, if you've never seen a tornado before. All right, so let's get back to the point at hand. Jake was asking wall cloud versus shelf cloud. The reason why, Jake, I think you might have been being confused with from a wall cloud, which is this right here, to a shelf cloud. Again, I got this just off a website here. This is totally simple stuff here. Google searches are a wonderful thing. This is a shelf cloud right here. This is a elongated cloud like this, and it kind of looks like that wall cloud, except it's much longer. It's right along the leading edge of a storm. And the reason it's called a shelf cloud is, well, it looks like a shelf. And it looks like you could almost set stuff on top of it right there, and it's the leading edge, and it lasts a long way. Now, the difference between the two is, what I first showed you was the wall cloud. That's usually where we try to see some rotation. A shelf cloud is much longer, and it's usually associated with the leading edge of strong straight line winds. And many times, when you think about a front that we put on a map, one of those blue or red squiggly lines, it looks like it's flat and it's long. So a lot of times when people see one of those shelf clouds coming in, well, it's flat and it's long. It's been confused over the years. People think that that's the front coming on through. And while that storm may be developing right on the front, that's not actually it. Again, a front is just an air mass that's changing. It's an air that's changing, and you can't see air. So it's something you can notice and you can feel over time, and it's gradual, but it's not something that you can see. So, Jake, I hope that answers your question. Hopefully it clears it up, because I get that question quite a bit, so that was a good question. We have a special birthday request here. This one's from Kyle. This was over on Facebook. Kyle has a June 10th birthday. He wants to know, what's my birthday look like? What's the weather look like? All right, Jake, let's go back to that 7-day forecast. I believe the 10th is Tuesday. Yep, Tuesday. There may be a few showers, especially in the second half of the day and especially the evening hours for us here, but I don't think it'll be a washout. Overall, looks like a pretty nice day for you here. Just keep in mind, if you want to have a backyard barbecue or something like that to celebrate the birthday, you might have to deal with a few rain showers. Happy birthday. All right. Now, this is the favorite one that I got this week. This was kind of interesting and a little bit different. This is Leslie. Leslie asks, what's the funniest thing that's happened to me while on TV? And Leslie, I sat here and I tried to think, because I do get this question quite often. I don't know necessarily what the funniest thing that's happened to me, or if I've ever had to stop a show and literally just laugh for a few seconds. But I can tell you this: if you ever watch our weekend shows, and especially follow me on Facebook and Twitter, you see that Saturday Night Selfie. It's that character. It's that Jordan Stratt guy. He always comes in because sports after weather, and he tries to do goofy faces or something in the back behind the camera where you guys can't see it, but I've got to deal with it. he always tries to do something in the background. He'll just wave his hands or he'll do something just goofy. So I have to say that every week, every weekend, that's very tough to deal with. Hopefully you guys don't see me smirking or anything. But we do try to have some fun. It's still our job. We take it very seriously, but of course we like to have fun as well for us here. So Leslie, that's a very good question. Just kind of fun for us here. So, like I said, this was going to be a fast Sunday Night Weather Hangout. There's just not a whole lot going on as far as the weather goes. Last week, we flirted with the idea of maybe doing another hangout on Tuesday night just because there was some potential earlier in the week. And if you guys watched me last Sunday, I said there was some potential for severe weather on Wednesday. Well, as we got closer, that potential really started to drop off, and so we decided not to do one of those hangouts. But while these Sunday Night Weather Hangouts, as long as I'm here, are going to happen every Sunday night at 8:30, if we do have some nasty weather that's set to come on through the area, of course, we're going to do more of these hangouts. So hopefully you guys can join us. If you guys are on Google, if you have a Gmail account, it's really, really simple to set up your Google Plus account, and then you can hang out live and ask questions over here in the actual Google Hangout forum. So hopefully you guys in the future want to participate a little bit more. We can certainly get into that as well. But for now, we're going to set things away, and we're going to see you guys at 10 o'clock over at Fox, from 10 to 10:30, I believe, and then we'll see you over on WTOL from 11 to 11:30. I hope that you guys have a great week, and thank you very much for watching this week.